Hey guys, welcome back. This is By the Book, and we are your married relationship coaches. We are talking once again about Married at First Sight, season 15, episode 4 or 5. Talking about Stacia and Nate right now, and we're going to break down some of maybe the red flags or possible issues that we see in their relationship up to this point.
Yes. All right. Oh, you want me to kick it off?
Absolutely.
All right. So, Stacia and Nate. That's how you say it, right?
Stacia, maybe Stacia. Whatever.
Okay. All right.
No offense, but we just don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of like the couple, and I like their chemistry. We're talking about red flags. So, one of the things that could potentially be a red flag is maybe the physicality. You know, are they getting too hot, too heavy, too fast? They just met each other, and so historically, when you watch the show, the couples that consummate now they haven't consummated, so I'm not saying that they have, but the couples who consummate their marriage early on the honeymoon typically do not last. And so, is it a red flag? Possibly. So how do you feel?
I mean, then you see those couples like Woody and what's their face, like they consummated pretty early and they seem to be quite the power couple. Yeah. So I don't want to count them out because they have chemistry. And I think that's okay. They haven't consummated. I think that's a good idea to kind of slow it down a little bit. It seems like that's on Stacia to do that, and usually it is on a woman in a way.
Yeah, that's woman's responsibility to kind of like pump those brakes.
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing. But I mean, it's refreshing, to be honest with you, to see some chemistry, because a lot of the couples either have like awkward chemistry or none at all. So I like seeing Stacia and Nate, and the fact that they seem very attracted to one another and they have a good vibe. They are actually right now my favorite couple. Yeah. So I hate to talk about red flags about them, but that's what we're doing today. Yeah. I think for me, as we were watching the last episode, one thing that stood out to me is their timeline in terms of when they want to have a family. I think I see Married at First Sight moving in a direction that I do like. I see older couples being brought in. And I like that, because sometimes watching 25, 26-year-olds talk about how they've always wanted to be married their whole life, like your life just started, like relax. Mm-hmm. But, so to see more mature people in their 30s, and even we have a 41-year-old in this season, that's nice to see. But one of the things that you're going to deal with, because Married at First Sight doesn't have couples on thus far that have children already, is you're looking at some tight timelines in terms of women as they're approaching their 40s and wanting to have a baby. And so we saw that where they're sitting at the dinner table and Stacia is telling him she wants to have a baby in a year. And he's like, whoa. Well, see, now he's 3 years younger than her. And also men's biological clocks don't tick as quickly as women's do, if at all. So that's a pressure situation. And that could actually be an undoing of their relationship if he's wanting to wait. There are plenty of women who successfully have children as they approach their late 30s and into their 40s, but not everybody is able to do that. And that's like a game that you may not want to play. And she's a smart girl. She recognizes that. So if that's going to be a deal breaker for either one of them, that could be a big issue.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that that could be that whole timeline as far as a woman's internal clock and her physically being able to have a child within a certain time limit and window. And so I definitely get it. And maybe she can bring him around. Maybe she can get him to kind of like understand that, like, hey, there's a certain window we have to hit for this, and having fun and playing around. It may not be in the cards for us for a long period of time. And so he seems to be kind of reasonable as far as how he approaches things.
Yeah.
And so that brings up the next red flag that I saw was the whole post-nup, thing. And I thought, after the conversation that Nate had with her mom, and I forgot who else was with him, but he began to talk about him having to file bankruptcy on a failed business and having to start over and build his self back up financially. And her mom, a mom's gonna do what a mom's gonna do, is gonna want her child, and so began to tell Stacia that hey, he's had some trouble financially.
Yeah.
And so that brought her around to think, hey, I may need a post-nup. Now, I had never heard of a post-nup, before. Of course, I've heard of prenup, but not a post-nup. Hey, let's sign this legal document after we've gotten married. Yeah. I didn't even know that you could do that. My wife's an attorney, so hey, maybe you could shed a little bit more light on this thing, because I never heard of it. But I think when she presented it to him, I think Nate handled it very maturely. He did.
I was surprised.
Yes, he did. He was like, okay, if this is important to you, all right, I want to show you that I'm not in it for whatever you have. I'm in it for you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very stand-up thing to do. And there it is. But
I think that's one of the reasons that's a power couple for me, because of the way that could have gone and the way that it did not ultimately go. He showed, I think, an incredible amount of maturity with that, and I was impressed. And if he handles that baby situation, the same way, then I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people are off-put by the idea of a prenup, post-nup, any kind of thing that makes it seem like either you don't trust them, or there's, I guess, the person is preparing for a divorce. They're preparing for the worst. Yeah. I think you could look at that either way, and come out with a negative outcome. So, the fact that he didn't handle it like it was that way was great. And I will say, I guess it's not really a red flag. If this were someone she dated for a long time and she was still saying that, then that would be a red flag for me, because I'd be like, look, then you shouldn't be agreeing to marry someone who you maybe have so much trepidation about. However, if this is somebody who you just met and you're alarmed maybe at their financial history, sure, see where that conversation takes you. Yeah. So I'm okay with it. I'm not even going to label that for me as a red flag. I would, though, if he had reacted terribly to it.
Well, the one thing that he handled it really well.
Yeah.
But the one thing he did say was, you don't have any faith in your boy.
Yeah.
And so he obviously he wants this thing to work, and he wants to put her mind at rest. And so he's doing what he has to do for her. And that's that's marriage 101. It's give and take, and you look at supplying your partner's needs before you do your own. And so that's definitely, a marriage thing to do. But still, he felt a little certain.
Yeah.
So, a little bit about that, a certain type of way about that, because he did say, you know what? You must not have any faith in your boy, Yeah. And so, it's some feelings that kind of like accrued from that. He didn't act out on them. He didn't voice them or anything. But he feels a little something.
And that's because it's early. I think as time progresses, as these 8 weeks pass along, if that's a trend of hers, if everything is like, wait a minute, but it's me, I got to protect myself, I got to, and she puts that wedge in between them, then ultimately it's probably going to drive them apart. But right now, I'm just still so positive about what I see from this couple.
I do like the couple, but my last red flag is not from this previous episode, but from a couple of episodes before. I'm still on that thing about his female friend, and when they were sitting down, that's just kind of strange to me.
That was weird. So if you guys remember, he had, was this at the wedding?
It was
It was
at
like,
the
or at
wedding,
the
the
reception.
reception. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a female friend that seemed really emotional about him. And Stacia is like, well, I hope he has good boundaries, basically, with his friends, because if he doesn't, that's going to be a problem. So I would like to see if that's going to be a foreshadowing for something that's going to come up as an issue later down the line.
Yeah.
He does what I see, I guess if I could label a red flag, he seems a little raunchy to me. He seems,
what do you mean?
He just does. Like, we saw him at the bachelor party, you know, kind of being a little aggressive with the stripper.
Yeah.
We heard his friends or whomever put that into the little disclosure about their person, saying he was a freak in the sheets. Like, who says that at a wedding ceremony? It was the worst timing. And I don't know. It just kind of made me think, I don't know. Like, is he kind of like a former playboy? Does he have that like Elijah type situation going on where his past might come back? I don't know. So if there's that, and he's like, well, I'm not gonna let go of my relationships and my female friends and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That could be a red flag.
It could be. I'm. You know what? I just want to know, like you said, is it foreshadowing? As far as, do we need to know more about him and this friend or his female friends? Because it just seemed a bit strange. It seemed a bit strange for her to be that emotional about your friend getting married. It seemed a bit weird.
Definitely.
So. Any more red flags for you?
That's it. I like them. I'm positive. I'm predicting we're going to stay together on decision day. So, but that's just right now. We'll see. As the time goes on, we'll see how we really feel about this couple maybe halfway through the season. Let us know what you think. If you saw any red flags that we didn't identify, because maybe we're just too enamored with this couple to see them.
Hey, he looks like Scottie Pippen, so what can you say about it?
That's not a good thing. Scottie is off the rails right now. Anyhow, y'all, let us know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll be back.